If your AC shut itself off this week and you've been told you need a service call, there's a decent chance nothing is broken. There's a float switch in a pan inside your air handler. When water backs up, that switch kills the system on purpose to stop your ceiling from flooding. The unit is fine. The drain is clogged. Clearing that clog runs $145 to $245 this year. 15 minutes with a $1 bottle of hydrogen peroxide. There are 9 of these, and number 4 is the one that ends the service call. Number 1. The monthly dose that stops the clog from ever forming. Find your indoor air handler. Attic, closet, garage, or basement. A white PVC pipe leaves the unit, and a few inches along, there's a T-shaped fitting with a cap on top. That's the access T, and it exists so somebody can pour something in. Cap off. Pour in 1 cup of 3% hydrogen peroxide, the plain brown bottle from the pharmacy. You'll hear it fizzing immediately. 10 minutes, then flush with warm water. Do that monthly through cooling season, and you'll almost certainly never make that phone call. Now, here's why the fizz matters, because it's the reason peroxide beats the bottle you'd normally grab. Your air conditioner pulls gallons of water a day out of the air in your house. All of it runs out through that one PVC pipe. Inside, it's dark, it's damp, and it's warm, which is the exact environment algae, mold, and bacteria want. They grow a slimy film along the inner wall of the pipe. That film acts like glue, catching dust and lint until the pipe is completely blocked. Hydrogen peroxide is water with 1 extra oxygen atom that badly wants to leave. When it hits organic matter, that oxygen tears free and oxidizes whatever it's touching, and the reaction produces the fizzing you hear. That fizz is mechanically lifting the slime off the pipe wall so it can flush away, instead of just killing it and leaving it stuck where it is. Then it breaks down into water and oxygen, nothing else. No residue sitting in your system. Number 2, the drain pan and the test that decides which chemical you're allowed to use. Underneath your evaporator coil is a pan that catches the condensation. That pan is where the slime starts before it ever reaches the pipe. Before you clean it, do this. Hold a magnet against it. If the magnet sticks, that pan is galvanized steel. If it doesn't stick, look closely, because plastic is obvious and a metal pan that isn't magnetic is aluminum. Either metal, and this next part matters more than anything else in this video. Vinegar is an acid. Bleach is aggressive. Both of them corrode metal drain pans, and a corroded pan means a leak, and a leaking pan is a $600 to $1,200 replacement. Hydrogen peroxide is close to neutral. It isn't an acid and it isn't caustic, which makes it the one common household option that kills the growth in a metal pan without eating the pan. Almost every household tips video on the internet tells you to pour vinegar down your AC drain. That's fine if your pan is plastic, but on an older metal pan, they're telling you to slowly destroy it. Wipe the pan out with peroxide on a cloth, get into the corners, and let it sit a few minutes before you wipe it dry. And while you're down there, this is where the upsell usually happens. Your technician will offer you condensate pan tablets, slow-dissolving pucks that sit in the pan and release an antimicrobial every time water runs over them. They're $5 to $15 a pack, and they genuinely work. They're also doing the same job as the bottle you already own, and some of them are mildly corrosive to metal if they sit against it directly. If you're already dosing the pan monthly, you don't need them. Number 3, the condensate pump reservoir. If your air handler sits below the level of the drain, you don't have gravity doing the work. You have a small pump, usually a white box with a clear or gray reservoir, and it pushes the water up and out. That reservoir is a standing pool of water in the dark. It grows the same slime as everything else. And when the float inside gums up, the pump stops sensing water, the water rises, and you get a leak that looks like a burst pipe. Replacing a condensate pump runs $245 to $445. Unplug it first, every time. Then pour half a cup of peroxide into the reservoir, let it work for 15 minutes, and flush it with clean water before you plug it back in. Now the next one is the one that actually cancels the service call, and it has to be done in a specific order. Number 4, clearing a line that's already blocked. If your system has already shut down or you're seeing water where water shouldn't be, prevention is behind you. Here's the sequence. Start outside. Find where the drain line exits the house. Usually a stub of white PVC near the outdoor unit or coming through an exterior wall. Take a wet-dry vacuum, seal it over the end of that pipe with your hand or a rag, and run it for 2 or 3 minutes. That's the step homeowners skip, and it's exactly what you'd be paying $200 for. You're pulling the physical plug out from the downstream side. What comes out is usually alarming. Then go back inside, open the access T, and pour in a cup of peroxide. Let it stand 10 minutes. Flush with warm water and watch that it runs freely. Then check the pan. If there's standing water still sitting in it, sponge it out because the float switch won't reset until the level drops, and your system will stay dead while you stand there wondering what went wrong. On most units, it resets itself once the pan is dry. Give it a few minutes before you decide the fix didn't work. The reason the order matters is that pouring anything into a fully blocked line just adds to the standing water. You clear the obstruction, then you treat the surface it was growing on. That's a $145 to $245 call, done for about $1. And the number underneath it is bigger, because a line that stays blocked overflows into a ceiling, and water damage and mold remediation on that runs $600 to $3,755. The next 4 are for the parts of your system that stay wet all year, and number 7 is the one that reaches the air you actually breathe. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. We put out one of these every week. Now look, we're not going to oversell this. Hydrogen peroxide doesn't fix air conditioners. It handles one specific category of problem, which is biological growth in the wet parts of your system. It will do nothing for a failed capacitor, a bad contactor, low refrigerant, a frozen coil, or a compressor. Refrigerant especially, that's licensed work, for good reason. What it handles is the slime, and the slime is behind a surprising share of the calls. Algae and mold grow in a condensate line constantly from May through October. Number 5, window units and portable air conditioners. A window unit has the same problem in a smaller box. There's a base pan under the coil that holds water by design, and on most units there's a slinger ring that flings that water onto the condenser to help it cool. That water sits there all season. Unplug it, slide the housing off, which is usually 4 or 6 screws. Pour peroxide across the base pan, let it fizz for 10 minutes, and wipe it out. Do the drain hole at the back while you're in there, because a blocked one is why units drip inside instead of outside. One more thing while the housing is off. Look at the aluminum fins on the indoor side. If they're furred with gray dust, that's why the unit runs constantly and barely cools. Peroxide won't shift bonded dust, but a soft brush and a vacuum will, and that costs nothing. That's also the fix for the smell that hits you every time the unit kicks on. Number 6, the dehumidifier bucket. If you run a dehumidifier in a basement, you're emptying a bucket of standing water constantly, and that bucket grows a film on the inside walls that you can feel with a finger. Pour a cup of peroxide into the empty bucket, swirl it up the sides, leave it 15 minutes, then rinse. Do the float too, that hinged piece of plastic that tells the machine the bucket is full. When it gets coated, the machine either stops early or overflows. Same treatment for the drain hose if you run one to a floor drain. Number 7, humidifiers, and the reason this one matters more than the others. A humidifier takes standing water and turns it into a mist you then breathe. Whatever grows in that tank ends up in the room. That's a different situation from a drain line where the water leaves the house. Empty it completely, fill the tank with a mix of peroxide and water, half and half, and let it sit 30 minutes. Get the wick housing and the mist nozzle, then rinse it out thoroughly, twice, and let it air dry before you refill. For a whole house humidifier mounted on the furnace, the water panel gets the same treatment, though most of those are meant to be replaced annually rather than cleaned forever. Number 8, supply registers and the boot behind them. Pull one of your ceiling or floor registers off, not the grill, the whole thing. Look down into the metal boot underneath. In a humid house, the metal down there gets condensation on it, and where there's condensation and dust, you get black spotting on the inside of the duct boot. Spray it with peroxide until it's visibly wet, leave it 10 minutes, then wipe it out with a cloth on a stick. Do the grill itself in the sink at the same time, worth saying plainly because this is where duct cleaning companies make their money. Spotting inside the boot right behind a register is a surface problem you can reach and handle yourself. It isn't evidence that your entire duct system needs a $900 cleaning, and a company that quotes you off a photo of one register boot is running a sales call. Number 9, the musty smell that comes back every summer. There's a name for this in the trade. They call it dirty sock syndrome, and it's the smell that hits for the first minute or two after the system starts, then fades. It's biological growth on the evaporator coil. The coil is cold and wet whenever the system runs, dust lands on it, and a film builds up in the fins. Now, honest limits on this one. Peroxide handles the biological layer. It does not dissolve the greasy bonded dust that also coats a neglected coil, and that needs a proper foaming coil cleaner. And on many systems, the coil sits behind a sealed access panel you shouldn't be opening. If you can reach it safely with the power off at the breaker, spray peroxide across the fins, let it sit, and let it drain into the pan you already cleaned. If you can't reach it, treat the pan and the line underneath it, because that's where the growth is feeding from. One safety rule, and this one isn't optional: never mix hydrogen peroxide with vinegar. Not in the same bottle, not poured one straight after the other into a line. Combining them makes peracetic acid. That's not an internet rumor, it's stated plainly in the trade magazine Plumbing and Mechanical, which is written for HVAC professionals. Peracetic acid is corrosive and it irritates the eyes, lungs, and skin. Their own guidance is that if you want to use both, you dose the line with peroxide, let it stand 10 minutes, flush it with water, and only then follow with vinegar and a final flush. The flush between them is the entire safety margin, and never bleach. Bleach degrades the cement holding your PVC joints together and corrodes metal pans, which is exactly the repair you were trying to avoid. That's the thread running through all 9. Hydrogen peroxide doesn't fix machines. It kills the living layer that makes machines look broken in every part of your system that stays wet. Your technician knows all of this. He just gets paid by the visit, and $145 block call for a clogged drain line is a 15-minute job with a $1 bottle. Do the pan and the line on the first dry Saturday of every month, and you take that call off the table for the whole season. If you want the other half of this, we did 9 hydrogen peroxide uses. Plumbers charge $300 for, and number 4 in that one is the toilet fix nobody knows about.